Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining myself and my colleagues on our Elevating AI from R&D to Real-World Brand Management Solutions webinar. We are really excited to showcase the work we have undertaken both within Papirfly and externally with customers, share with you the artificial intelligence journey Papirfly is on, and help you understand how you can get involved with all of the awesome developments coming soon from Papirfly. So I'll introduce myself first. My name is Natalie Wilding. I'm the head of product roadmap at Papirfly, and I am your master of ceremonies today, shepherding you through today's topics. I'm joined by my colleagues Martin Landsberger, VP of Design and Managing Director Czechia, and our Chief Technology Officer Morten Moe, as well as the product lead for our Papirfly AI Lab, Ingva Miegelboost. So a bit of housekeeping before we start. There's a chat available if you have any questions. Please feel free to ask them throughout the different sessions within this webinar, and we'll answer them at the end of each session. We'll also put a poll in the chat, which we'd love for you to engage with to help us get a better understanding of your priorities for AI tools within your organizations. So with the housekeeping done and introductions completed, without further ado, let's get to the exciting stuff. I'll pass over to my colleagues Martin and Morten to talk to us about going from research and development to return on investment. So over to you, Martin and Morten.
Thank you, Natalie. Good afternoon. Let me give you a little bit of an idea how we tend to think about AI in Papirfly, and then we will look more closely at concrete implementations and functionalities. So AI is definitely the most popular technology term of our time, but it is also very often overused and misused. But at the same time, there is no doubt AI is changing the world around us. It has major impact on how we work, we live, we collaborate, or even act as a society. And the AI hype has also taken over the markets. In fact, companies that mention AI in their earnings saw their stocks rise by an average of 4.6% according to a study conducted by Wall Street Zen. So it is very, very tempting to ride the AI wave and start adding powered by AI next to every product we build, but is it really right to do so? At Papirfly, we strongly believe in two things. It's the customer-centric approach and business rationale. So we prefer to investigate the needs of our customers, and we consider AI only if it's an answer to them rather than the other way around. So we treat AI as any other business case. We carefully evaluate investments, returns, and most importantly, the value for our customers. And that goes both for the financial as well as the technological sense. So we can't ignore the fact that we are actually one of the lucky SaaS vendors with an ideal product proposition to introduce generative AI to the enterprise world. Thanks to our digital asset management system product called Place, it is very, very easy for our customers to train AI models on carefully curated and 100% on-brand stored assets in our system. So you could say that the entry barrier is very low. And I think this is also the reason why several customers have identified Papirfly as their ideal go-to business partner on their very own AI exploratory journey. So one of them was also our precious customer, DNB, the largest financial institution in the Nordics. And we had several super interesting discussions with DNB and later identified one joint project that met the ideal criteria. So from Papirfly's point of view, it was a generic functionality development, 100% aligned with our product strategy. And from DNB's view, it was an attractive experiment and also a way of accelerating the exploration of AI. And there was also this high return on investment potential embedded in there. So what we agreed on is that we will build a co-funded innovation project where DNB was or would be contributing not only with their ideas, but also financially. And we decided to develop an AI engine that's capable of producing on-brand assets or more concretely on-brand illustrations based on DNB's brand guidelines. And the idea was that this would significantly improve the go-to-market time and for the very same reason also save the production costs. And the engine would be obviously, as I mentioned, trained on the data stored in our systems. And the assets would be generated either through text prompts, so you would be searching for your assets, and if you won't find any, you would get an outcome generated, or you could also use handmade sketches, a basic sketch that you just upload into the system, and the engine will generate an asset for you instead. So now let me hand over to Morten, our CTO, who will tell you a little bit more how we built the whole solution.
Thank you, Martin. So let me dig into how we went about to build this thing. We started our project by establishing 4 key principles on how to address this. First one was around team structure. In Papirfly, we are organized in classical product teams. So we decided very early on that AI is not going to be a new product for us, but rather it's going to be an integrated part of our existing offering. So we started out really small, and I think at the start we were just one guy doing R&D and one person with the product vision. So our second principle was to do very little upfront architecture work. Now AI is very new and was very new back then, so we didn't know much about it. So it didn't make sense for us to do a lot of upfront overthinking. We needed to start testing and get our hands dirty, so to speak. So I think when we started, we tested or evaluated about 13 different AI models, and our first version of the architecture is what you see here. We ran it on something called Google Colab, which is free actually. You can use that for 12 hours and then your data gets wiped. And it's a great way to start to evaluate different models. But of course, we wanted this to be part of our product, so we had to move this onto our own platform. So then we set up Stable Diffusion, which was the AI engine that we saw was the best fit for our purpose. And we set it up on AWS, and we used just a standard user interface that comes with the product. It's an open source interface. And it's not something you normally would allow a customer to use because it has so many parameters to change. But in our case, it made sense because, as Martin mentioned, we worked quite tightly with DNB to evaluate this, and this allowed us to really learn how we train the model and how we could prompt it to get the right output, and also allowed us to learn how to sort of what the cost is of running an AI model, because it's quite complicated actually. So this was good, and we learned a lot from this architecture, but we, of course, need a multi-tenant scalable architecture. And this version 3, this is where we are today. So a lot of things have happened here between these versions. So just starting in the middle there, we introduced an API gateway. So we have a clear separation between the code that we write and I would say the fast changing world of AI models. And another thing that we have done is we have introduced a multi-model architecture. So this means that we can have different models for different use or for different customers. So let's say a customer has a preference or maybe just allows a certain model, then our architecture allows for this. And in addition, we have established cost management and cost tracking outside any model because they are priced quite differently as well. So it needs to be handled outside. So we believe with this architecture, we are quite ready to scale and to adapt and really go to market with the product. So our third key principle was to utilize our customers and partners. Martin has shown you a little bit about what we did with DNB. So they gave us really valuable input along the way, and even quite early on, they used I would say very much unfinished solution to produce actual live production assets. And in addition, we worked with AWS and got access to their managed services. So So this allowed us to really make a good decision on what do we need to build from our side and what can we use in the platform. And also for AWS, it was very valuable because they got a actual live use case running on their platform. So over to you, Martin.
So the final quality of an AI generated image is among others defined by two factors. The first one is the input data, so basically the training sample. And the second one is the output settings. As Morten mentioned, these are the parameters you can tweak, like diffusion model selection, denoising strengths, a lot of various parameters you can adjust. So having an in-house design team when building the functionality based on diffusion models was extremely helpful because we could easily adjust the training samples on the go and also evaluate the aesthetic quality of the outputs, which we know is sometimes a little bit tricky for the developers to do. So to me, the training part was by far the most exciting on our journey. And there were a lot of unexpected discoveries. So we quickly learned that the dialogue between us and the machine must be adjusted, since the typical human to machine instructions were no longer working. And just to give you an example, the more data structure we believed we were providing, the less accurate the result was. The more time we gave the machine to learn, the less accurate the outcome, because it started to put too much importance or attention to really unimportant details. And the bigger the training sample was, you can guess, the less accurate the result was again, because for the very same reason as with the time. So it started to pay attention to various things that were not really necessary for the outcome. Giving you a more concrete example, this is what we call the human component builder. And one of the ideas was to provide data in that very structured form where you could really, compose a human illustration out of it. But as I mentioned, several discoveries led us to a key learning. Due to the language model being present also during the training process, we discovered that we must start talking to the machine as if it was a human being, or let's say a 3-year-old child. And like with kids, you sometimes don't get 100% result right ahead. So we had very interesting situations. One of them was when the AIs started to emphasize the narrative of bankers carelessly treating your lifetime savings by throwing money everywhere around them, which we of course know it's not true. Or when all of a sudden the machine started to be obsessed by umbrellas, putting umbrellas in every single picture we generated for almost 1 week, ultimately resulting into a combo of money flying around while people trying to protect themselves by umbrellas. So wrap up, over to you, Morten.
Yes, so it's been a journey. I think we started approximately a year ago with a very sort of small team doing an initial R&D phase. We got a customer involved very early, and we did an MVP, which we learned a lot from. And now we're at I think we have a really good scalable and an open architecture. And next step for us now is to, of course, continue product development. This is not a finished product. We need to look at price models and cost management. The cost side of AI is a bit complicated, and it can be very costly if you don't do it right. And we have to do internal training. We have to train our support team. We have to train customer success, sales, and so on. And from the R&D side, we have to decide whether we keep this AI labs as a separate team or whether we merge it completely into our other product teams. And the final point, which we haven't touched upon, is the sort of potential legal and ethical issues around this, because we all know they exist. And this situation reminds me a little bit about when we did our AWS transition a couple of years ago. And in the middle of that, we got the whole Schrems 2 situation, if people remember that, where there were complications around GDPR and the use of American hosting companies. So back then, we sort of sat back a little bit and let the big players handle it. And it's a little bit like we're doing now. I think that we have an architecture now which is really open, and it's very easy for us to change models or to pull models out. So we're kind of very much able to change according to what happens. And in addition, we do the training of the model. It happens on the customer's own data. So we also have that as a thing going for us, I think. So, but we're monitoring this, and we're ready to adapt to whatever happens in the market. So 3 key takeaways. I would say number 1 is to build your AI features really close to your business proposition. So Martin has mentioned or shown around our product place where we have customer assets. So it's really a natural evolution for us to add AI features to this. Number 2 is to involve partners and try to find those win-win situations and someone to share the risk with. And number 3, I think is very important, is it's build for change like we have done, and be ready to pivot if you need to.
And I would add the 4th one. Don't forget to enjoy the ride. I think it can be both very educative and also fun. So a takeaway from me that it's worth mentioning as well. So let us play a small video for you at the end. There will be an opportunity to ask questions if you have any.
Amazing. Thanks, Martin and Morten. I think it's so thrilling to see how we at Papirfly have taken concepts and ideas and turned them into actionable insights and physical output on our artificial intelligence journey. So we will continue to answer any questions that come up in the chat. And please don't forget that you can ask them. We'll take some time at the end to answer any further questions that you have. And also don't forget to engage with the poll. We'd love to hear from you. The question is around what types of AI capabilities would you like to implement within your branding and marketing team? So we'd love for you to take some time to answer that question. Cool. Okay, so moving on. Just share my screen. Okay, great. I'm really pleased to move on to the next session, which is a fireside chat between myself and my colleague Ingva, who's product lead for Papirfly AI Lab, where he'll answer some pressing questions I think we all have about AI within brand management. He'll give a few sneak peek demos of what the lab has been working on, and also give you some insight into how you can engage with the lab going forward. So Ingva, let's get started. We're going to split our fireside chat into 2 separate topics. The first one is around Papirfly's brand framework concept, why a brand framework is essential for brand development, and the kind of components of a brand framework. Once we've kind of got the foundation for a brand framework, we'll then switch over to discussing how to activate brand framework, its practical benefits, how we within Papirfly use the brand framework to enhance a brand's identity and messaging, and also give you some insights into the Papirfly AI Lab direction and engagement opportunities. So our first set of questions is around building a brand framework. Hi, Ingva. So let's jump into
Hi, Natalie.
Let's jump into brand frameworks. So can you explain the concept of a Papirfly AI Lab brand framework and why it's going to be essential for effective brand development for customers engaging with AI?
Sure, Natalie. Well, as you all are aware of, super cool AI services are popping up all over the internet, but they're all lacking the same, and that is the sort of holistic brand management aspect. And being true to our colors, this is what we want to bring to the table. but because many of the AI services do indeed provide this brand management aspect, they just need to be fine-tuned and configured. So as Morten said, we have created an architecture that lets any applications that want to use our AI services use them without knowing how the results are created. They simply ask for a service and get a response back. And this is where the brand frameworks come into play. The brand framework is set up for each brand, and it defines how our service should respond to a request for this specific brand. And I will give you an example to explain. If the consuming application, let us say produce, sends a message to visual.ai, which is create an illustration of two people traveling. Without the brand framework, the AI would respond with a generic illustration of two people traveling. But with the brand framework set up, we will instead use a pre-trained selected illustration engine that responds in a specific style. And of course, this style is only available to this particular client that we have trained it for, so it's not available for anybody else having access to the system. Another example of a setup of the brand framework is to determine which large language model should be used for written AI specifically. Some clients might choose to create their own large language model to mitigate risk of interacting with it, and some countries will develop their own models to embrace local culture and so on. But our architecture supports this approach. So part of the brand framework is defining which LLM that should be used for the specific brand. And the end goal here is that the brand API that is built on top of the brand framework is the single source of truth for everything brand for AI. So engaging in building a good foundation will be essential for our clients.
Amazing. Great. Really, really helpful. So when we're talking about a brand framework, what are the key components of a Papirfly AI Lab brand framework, and how will they contribute to shaping a brand's identity?
Well, when I drew the first sketches of the brand framework, I noted down brand guidelines, restrictions, large language model selection, styles, tone of voice, and target audience as the key components. And I feel this is still valid. And again, as Morten also mentioned, the strength of the framework is actually its flexibility combined with how restrictive it is at the same time. So the flexibility comes from the open architecture, enabling our clients to use the large language model of their choice, as well as the fact that any new cool AI service that emerges with the possibility of training can be plugged directly into the framework. And it can often be utilized without changing the consuming application, because they interact with the brand API directly. And the restriction part comes from disallowing users to create content that is not defined in the brand framework, as well as the possibility to fine-tune the large language model about topics and phrases to avoid. So we strongly believe that we will all use AI in some shape or form as a tool in our work in the very near future. And having a strong foundation and brand framework will become crucial in shaping a brand's identity.
Nice. I like that we're sort of thinking in the future too. So sort of anticipating that AI will continue to change, will continue to grow, it will continue to adapt.
Absolutely.
So I like that we're sort of like being open in our architecture to sort of cater for those things. It's really exciting. Nice. Great. So in the context of the AI lab, what role does AI play in the process of like defining and evolving a branding and marketing strategy?
That is a super tough question, Natalie.
I like to give you tough ones, Ingrid.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% convinced that AI will play a huge role in evolving a branding and marketing strategy in so many ways. AI can be used for content generation, personalizing content, market research and insight, creative ideation, A/B testing, visual content generation, and much, much more. So in the context of AI Lab is where it becomes more difficult, but I think that the biggest contribution of the AI Lab is to establish the brand API as a single source of truth for all applications that need to interact with generative AI. If each application uses its own large language model, like Adobe uses theirs and Google uses theirs and so on, the brand will not be consistent across the whole organization.
Yeah.
So aligning on one single source of truth for this, I think, can be crucial, and we want to take that space. And I'll just give another example. Sort of if you integrate your content management system that you use to create your web page to get help writing articles for the homepage, it will be super beneficial if the source of help will be the same as the CRM system used to get help in writing emails to be sent to customers.
Yeah. That's great. I guess the better question is, what role doesn't AI play in the process? Nice. Okay, great. So now that we kind of understand what a brand framework is, let's shift over to Papirfly and how Papirfly is going to work with customers to activate their own brand frameworks, and how those brand frameworks can work with AI tools. And also maybe you can give us some sneak peeks of some real world examples. So Papirfly has been a bit of a second mover on AI, meaning that we've entered the AI space carefully, probably a bit more carefully than some of the people that you mentioned previously, some of our competitors, because we wanted to be sure that we were focusing on brand frameworks and providing meaningful innovation for our customers. And I think the key word there is meaningful innovation. So in the realm of AI-driven brand management products, how can being a second mover be seen as an advantage when it comes to ensuring that brands can effectively harness AI to enhance their brand strategy?
Well, first of all, I kind of disagree that we have not been working with AI for a long time.
You caught me there, Ingve. You caught me.
Yeah. No, but we have been working with it for 10 years, but it has exploded in the last year. So, but what we also have to admit is that Papirfly is not an AI company per se.
Yeah.
As we have talked about several times before, is that we instead focused on building a multi-tenant, scalable, and flexible architecture that can piggyback on the innovations of the pure AI companies out there. And this is a win-win situation for both the AI companies, for us, and also for you, the clients, because their business model is that they get paid by the usage, and we, on behalf of our clients, will generate traffic. So they can focus on keeping head on the AI development, and we can focus on bringing brand management to everybody, AI powered. And also, if you take a look at the image engines that just 1 year ago couldn't create the hand properly, the advancements made are just incredible. And we feel that the technology now is mature enough to start taking to market for the typical Papirfly client, which is quite conservative, very big corporate clients, and it's now ready for real life usage. So in my opinion, the technology has simply not been mature enough until now to really take to market. So yeah, being a second mover is good enough as long as we started our thought process a very long time ago.
Nice. That's a really thoughtful answer, because yeah, it is something that we've been thinking about and sort of talking about for a long time. But I think the important thing there is that we've looked at really what do our customers need and how can we solve our customers' problems through AI in a responsible, kind of meaningful way, rather than just jumping on the trend, which I think a lot of people have done. Could I possibly convince you to share some real world examples or give us some sneak peeks of how AI powered tools like visual.ai have helped businesses effectively activate their brand frameworks? Maybe some sneak peeks about some stuff the lab is working on.
Absolutely. I have prepared 2 demos where I showcase the 2 proof of concept projects that we have done so far.
Excellent.
So let me see if I can share. Seconds.
All the examples from Morten and Martin's presentation was made using the style of DNB. That is what is here called the DNB generic style. That is within the DNB brand framework. And after the success we had with that one, we got approached by a different team in DNB. They have a chatbot called Juno that they want to appear in different situations and in different moods. So within the DNB brand framework, we added a second illustration style in the style of Juno. I will first show you Juno as it looks when it's designed by the designers in DNB. So looking at him here, these are various examples of how they use this robot to communicate different stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to change the style from DNB generic to DNB Juno. And I want to create 3 versions of a happy robot playing the guitar. So generating 3 examples takes approximately 25 seconds. So we will wait a few more seconds before the results appear. So here is the happy robot playing the guitar. So now I can choose which one I want and download it to my computer.
That is a very cute robot playing a guitar. I love that.
Thank you. We're quite happy with that one as well. It went very smoothly, quickly, much quicker, and with much less hiccups than we had with the first one that Martin told about. So we had learned a lot in the process. So I also want to show you a second proof of concept that we have done, and this is more for the written.ai workstream. So let me share again.
Please forgive the UI on this one. This is made to just showcase the technology. The UI on top of this will be built into our products like Produce and Point. What this experiment is about is the ability to create a fine-tuned version of ChatGPT that returns results in the tone of voice of each client. And we include this in the client's brand framework. Both of these models have been given the instruction that they are a quirky financial chatbot with a playful edge. But the one on the left uses a pre-trained model, and the one on the right uses clean ChatGPT. The pre-trained model has been trained with brand voice, tone and style, unique language to use, and also language to avoid using. And in the example, we asked the AI to help us write an email explaining an unfortunate incident. So I click on both of them. And we look at the results.
So it might be hard for you to see the nuances of the language, but I, who know the training material, can spot them very easily. And this is actually where we also really want to, we already discussed it with DNB. DNB has got a concept within their bank that is called S-Banken, which has a totally different audience that they speak to. DNB being there from A to Z bank through all stages, while the S-Banken is targeting just another portion of the demographics. So trying to see if we can train two different models and see if we can actually spot the nuances in the language will be super interesting. So for further developing written.ai, we really welcome you as the clients to come and participate together with us. So that's the sneak peek, Natalie.
Thanks, Ingva. I really appreciate that. Cool. So I have one more question for you, and it kind of talks a little bit about kind of how are we kind of using the AI lab, and how are we using all the tools within the AI lab, and how is the lab ensuring that its AI-powered tools align with and enhance a brand's unique identity and messaging?
Yeah, well, this is basically what we try to achieve with the brand API and the brand framework. Yeah, it will empower many more employees to be able to write in the tone of voice of the company, and I also think that it will lower the threshold for users to start using AI. First of all, it will come
that's a good point.
from it within a tool, within a tool that is actually common to there. Quite a few of them are used to using it, and one of the all important aspects of taking advantage of large language model such as ChatGPT is context, and context is hard for inexperienced users, but now much of the context is built into the fine-tuned LLM from the start, and the consuming application can create UI for adding additional layer of context, for example, by providing drop-downs to select which target audience are you currently speaking to, and we can set it up which we are allowed to speak to. And also you can define a set of speakers available in drop-down menus, setting the context as you are an expert on subject matter or something, or you are a marketing expert, and just set the context for the large language model by clicking drop-downs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, great. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Ingva. It's been really great to talk to you. I'm sure our audience is really keen to get a feel for how to get involved. So we want to make sure that you can engage with the lab in a really meaningful way. So we'll give you a bit more information on how to do that at the end of the webinar, and in some follow-up emails we'll be sending to each of you by participating in the webinar. It's worth noting that the lab is on a constantly evolving journey to build Papirfly's AI tools and technology in the right way. And customers who will be engaging with the lab will actually be part of that journey with us. It will be a journey of experimentation, proof of concepts, iteration, and as we sort of heard from both Martin and from Ingva, trial and error. And by being part of the lab and the journey it is on, you'll be shaping the future of AI software and products going forward at Papirfly. So because of that, we want to make sure that we're selecting the right customers to work with the lab. And so we will open up our initial lab collaborations to a select number of customers. But as we grow the lab and its capabilities, more testing and collaboration opportunities will open up. So I hope you have found today's webinar as exciting and enlightening as I have. As we've explored the incredible world of AI brand solutions together, I want to leave you with some key takeaways kind of that we've learned throughout the webinar. So first and foremost, I think we can all agree the future of brand development is undeniably intertwined with the rise of AI. So with new technologies, people often think it's a trend, but in the case of AI, we're moving beyond this being a trend. It's literally a seismic shift in the way that companies are going to shape and communicate their brands, but also how consumers perceive the brands that they love. So to stay ahead, to keep maintaining a brand that customers and consumers relate to and want to be part of, businesses must prepare for the AI-shaped technology shift and adapt accordingly. At Papirfly, we really understand the significance of ensuring AI-powered tools seamlessly align with and enhance your brand's identities. So our AI lab is dedicated to achieving just that, offering a bridge between kind of the limitless possibilities of AI, but also maintaining the authenticity of your brands. We've also kind of touched upon the importance of overcoming AI integration challenges. So it's not just about adopting AI, but also integrating it strategically into your brand strategy. The smoother that transition and that integration, the greater the potential for brand strategy success. And then kind of looking ahead, we really believe that brand frameworks will emerge as essential blueprints for effective brand development in the AI era. They will be the ones to provide the structure and the guidance needed to navigate the complexities of this transformative landscape and ensure that the technology is sort of staying authentic and true to who the brand is and what messages the brand is trying to get across. So finally, and most importantly, I think we can never anticipate or underestimate the pivotal role that AI plays in brand activation. Tools like visual.ai, written.ai have the power to unlock creativity, streamline processes, and elevate brand experiences like never before. So to close out today, I encourage you all to embrace the exciting possibilities that AI brings to brand development. Prepare, adapt, and harness the potential to create brands that resonate and thrive in this novel, exhilarating, demanding, and paradigm-shifting era we are on the brink of entering. So before we go, just wanted to give you a little bit more information on what to expect from us after this webinar. So everyone on the webinar will receive a link to the recording of the webinar. You'll receive a link to the landing page where you can register your interest in all the updates going forward for Papirfly AI Lab. And you can get further updates on the exciting coming tools and functionality from our Papirfly AI Lab. If you are interested in collaborating in the new R&D lab, we'll be sending around some further information on how you can engage, or you can even reach out to your customer success manager. The other thing to note is make sure you visit papirfly.com/roadmap for some really great blogs on AI, history of, and where AI is going, written by our very own Chief Product Officer, Craig Unsworth. So we want to thank you for joining us today. And let's raise a glass, and here's to a future where your brand shines brighter than ever, powered by AI. We hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and we will be in touch soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks, everyone.